Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. Everybody's running a little bit late tonight, so we are going to start late. So maybe, I see we have a couple of viewers. You might want to check back in maybe about 10 minutes. I'm not sure. Okay, I'll be back.
Michelle? Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Hey.
Hey, I pressed the hang up button on accident once I clicked the do you understand thing.
Uh-huh.
I had to put the link back up, but I'm here. Oh,
Okay. Well, let's give it a minute. Venita just said she's on her way.
okay.
Um, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, I don't have.
So how's it going? Long time no see.
I know. I know. It's going. We have 81 or 2 more days to the wedding, and I'm officially over it. So,
So I
over it.
take by your presence here that you decided you were gonna stick with us this season.
The only Tuesday I'll miss is the 29th, if I look at the schedule correctly, because we'll be on the honeymoon.
Uh-huh.
Kim sent a message. She
Hold
wants me
on
to.
a second.
Okay.
Kim B has joined the video call.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm so confused. I didn't get an email with the link.
She puts it in the session 6 pages because it's not right, because that's where I found it, Michelle.
Yeah, that's where it is. And Venita just called me. She was having trouble finding the link. Also,
I thought we used to get an email half an hour before we started. I didn't know it changed.
Yeah.
I can't barely keep up.
What did I do? Let me see. I thought I sent an email yesterday. Maybe not. But
No worries. Just let me know where to look for it next month, next week. So I'll be fine.
where did you find it today?
Randie just sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
Well, I always had issues signing in anyway, so.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of had gotten out of the habit of sending it a half hour before the start of the meeting, because I was sending it a couple of days in advance. Like, Venita has joined the Hangout.
Hi, Venita.
And because, see, what happened is in the beginning, you couldn't post the link into the Hangout until you opened the Hangout and got the link. So you couldn't do it in advance. But over the last few months or so, or finally I figured out how to get the link in advance of our broadcast. So at the time that I do the invitation, and normally I'm doing the invitation like 2 or 3 days ahead. Like with this group, I think I've been doing the invitations on Friday or Saturday before the Tuesday. I did this one earlier to kind of, get us back in the swing of things. But as soon as I post the invitation, I'm also able to get access to the link into the Hangout.
Oh, that's great.
So I have been posting that link in the private group that we have. This one's called Session 6, Conversationalists. And I've also been putting it in the email to you guys. But I'm not sure if I sent you guys the email this time, so I apologize for that. So, Venita, you found your way in. Welcome. We can't hear you. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. You might need to go out and come back in. Wow. So we had 2 viewers, and then we had 3 viewers, and now we have 1 viewer.
One of the viewers was me. I felt like if I couldn't get in, I could at least hear.
Oh, okay,
But that was
okay.
me.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were able to reach Randie. So I don't know. I just called Georgette and got her answering machine. So I haven't heard.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, good.
So I'm just saying that I don't know anything about Georgette or Joelle. Um, I think I did see Georgette hit the like button on the agenda or something like that. So I think she knows about it, um, but I have not seen anything from Joelle. So this may be the crew for tonight. So is everybody warmed up? Are you ready to start? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Randie was just saying that there are gonna probably be 2 hangouts that she misses because of the wedding
Just because
and
of
the
the honeymoon.
honeymoon. Huh?
The 29th, the 29th will be on the cruise, and was there a May 3rd one? Was that?
I'm not
And
sure.
May 3rd we'll be just getting back. So that's the day we get back. The cruise is 7 days, and it starts on the 26th, and we come back on the 3rd.
Okay. Well, you are sure a trooper, cause
I'm saying, I'm saying, listen to her like, girl,
you know.
you heard from me. That's wonderful, Randie. You're special. I like that.
So you were just saying the wedding planning is you are done with it? You are sick of it?
I gave my sister my emails and passwords to the registry. She can do it. Just like I'm so over it.
Yeah. Well, it must be nice to have a sister. Jeez. All right. Well, let's go on and get started because we're late. We still do have a viewer, so I don't want to lose that person. and I apologize again for our lateness, but this is the start of session 6. We have been on hiatus for about 6 weeks, and so we're kind of all out of the habit of our Tuesday night group and have to regroup ourselves to get back in the mode. But in any event, welcome to session 6 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle, which will go on through May 31st of this year, 2016, reading Paula Giddings' When and Where I Enter. And you can learn more about the group on Facebook, where we have a Facebook page, on YouTube, where we have hundreds, maybe thousands at this point, I don't know, videos in our archives there. And then on Google Plus, we have a page and a community. And if you join the community, then you get the invitations and everything that way. Let's see. Okay, and my name's Michelle Odom. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle, and I am located in New York City. Welcome. And Randie?
Hi, I'm Randie. I'm also one of the co-hosts, and I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
And Kim?
Hi, I'm Kim Brandon, and I am in New York.
Okay. And Venita?
My name is Venita Walker, and I'm joining you from Cromwell, Connecticut. Welcome.
Okay. Okay, so Venita, are you going to be our timekeeper?
That's my job.
All right. All right. So, we all remember the community rules to kind of, if we know we have some noise going on in the background, to mute our mic. Otherwise, leave the mics open so we can have a kind of easy flow of conversation. And I think that's it for now. And so tonight we are reading chapter 1, which is called To Sell My Life as Dearly as Possible, Ida B. Wells and the First Antilynching Campaign. And this, of course, is Paula Giddings' When and Where I Enter. And let me say now, this is the 2006 version. This is not the version that I advertised. I wanted us to read the 2007 version. I think it was first published in 94.
84.
84. But I had a lot of trouble. Venita had a lot of trouble getting the 2007 version. Do you have it, Randie or
I have
Kim?
the 84.
Oh, you have the 84. Okay.
So that's why when I looked at the questions, the preface isn't that one. I don't have them, but everything else is the same in my book.
Okay.
It's not the same at all. The I don't have. That's why I was opening my book trying to find that quote you put, because it is not in this one.
Okay. Okay. And Kim, what version do you
I
have?
have an online copy and I also have an audio copy. I didn't check the years that it was published, but I can.
Okay. Okay. So it's so we may run into some little differences based on that. I don't know. I ordered 2 copies of the book online, both of them used, and the specifications both said that I was getting the 2007 book. And when it finally arrived in the mail, first I got the 84 version, which happens to have a signature from Paula Giddings. So I guess I'll hold on to it for that reason. And then I ordered it again and got this 2006 version. So I think we're going to just do the best we can with whatever versions we have and keep it moving, because I know I personally don't plan to buy any more copies of this book. So, all right, so I'll go ahead and read the summary, which is Ida B. Wells enters the stage of political activism in the late 1800s in response to the lynching of her friend Thomas Moss. What the whole race learns about the practice of lynching into the 1900s and how African Americans respond to these ugly events is shaped by Wells's journalism and activism. Paula Giddings traces the political development of Ida B. Wells in Chapter 1, comparing the influences and experiences she had to that of Mary Church Terrell. Both women were deeply affected by the lynchings of their friend Thomas Moss and his business partners. The two women were born a year apart and both were daughters of former slaves. Their fathers were sons of their former masters. Both were men who filled their daughters with racial pride and the spirit of defiance. An epidemic of yellow fever in 1878 changed the course of both families, leaving Wells to take charge of her younger siblings and leading the Church family to great wealth. The period of widespread lynchings in America is connected to the end of the Reconstruction era, and we see through Chapter 1 both the optimism and despair that gripped the African American community. We also see a community bound by their connections to one another and unified in their response to the genocidal agenda lynchings of men, women, and children represents. So, Randie, you don't have the preface that I have. So, you know what? Why don't we? Hmm. Well, I think you can still answer the question question 2. Why don't you go ahead and read point A and the questions there, and then we'll focus on question 2. Okay.
Okay. Preface, a history of our own. The preface to the 2006 version of When and Where I Enter, titled A History of Our Own, is Giddings' reflection on the need of...
Hold on a second, Randie. Can you all hear Randie clearly?
No, not really. It sounds like it's
No,
skipping a little bit.
she's freezing. You were too.
I was too?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
I heard you. Do y'all hear me better?
You heard me clearly,
No.
Randie?
No. It's actually freezing.
I heard you clearly.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. It's freezing into words. It's freezing in between words. So, and then it drags, and then you freeze.
Oh. Okay. Well, all right. Go ahead, Randie. We'll figure it out, I guess, as we go along.
Okay. In the span of time between the first publication of When and Where I Enter in 1984 and this 2006 version, she identifies the backlash and conservatism that took hold and diminished and the playing field of affirmative action as a function of morality rather than economic policy. And as for feminism, they charged that it didn't save women's lives, but ruined them, and family and daddy too.
Did we lose Randie?
I think so.
Okay. Kim, why don't you read
I just want to reread that paragraph because I didn't hear Randie reading it.
Why or why not?
Oh, Randie?
Yes.
Randie?
I'm ready.
Yes.
We're gonna have Kim read. We're gonna have Kim read this section because you dropped out for a second there.
Oh, you think I should hang up and come back?
Maybe you should try to. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I'll hang up and come right back.
All right.
Oh, okay, Kim. Let's start over.
Okay. Is Randie back?
She's gonna go out and come back in.
Okay. I'll wait until she comes back.
No, go ahead and start.
Okay. In the span of time between the first publication of When and Where I Entered in 1984 and this 2006 version, she identifies the backlash and conservatism that took hold and diminished and erased much of the progress African Americans achieved during the 1960s and 70s. They twisted welfare safety nets into nooses, made the level playing field of affirmative action into reverse discrimination, recast poverty as the function of morality rather than economic policy. And as for feminism, they charged that it didn't save women's lives, but ruined them, and family and daddy too. Question 1. One of the questions she poses in this preface is this: who are we when we are not someone's mother or daughter or sister or aunt or church elder or first black woman to be this or that? How might you answer this question for yourself? Read all the questions?
Yes, please.
Oh, sure. 2, why do you think some people see feminism as a force of destruction? Do you see it that way? Why or why not? And number 3, do you agree that black women continue to be indispensable in the progress of men, of community, of family, and of employers?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So let's let's focus in for a minute on question 2. Why do you think some people see feminism as a force of destruction? Do you see it that way? Why or why not? Anybody?
For me, sometimes I feel that we have to choose between fighting for women, the feminine, fighting for rights of women, and also fighting for the rights of African Americans. And so I think that there are times where we're asked to choose between which side of the street we're going to fall on. And I don't think that you have to decide. I think that you just have to, whenever you see discrimination, either way, we have to fight twice as hard as most. But I think that you still have to fight for both.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I'll just say one other thing. I had gone to some activist meetings recently, and on the dais it was only men, and I was taken aback by how whoever planned this event really should have been a little bit more open to having a more diverse panel. But I don't even think that the man who planned it saw that women were needed and women had a voice.
Right, right. Okay. Um, I I think for me, why do you think some people see feminism as a force of destruction? Um, well, I do think it represents significant change from the established order. And in the other group that I'm doing concurrently with this, the Revolutionary Love Leadership series, we were talking about there are a bunch of fire signs in that group. In fact, what's your sign, Randie?
Leo.
Are you there, Randie?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No. Now I hear you. I heard you say that.
Leo.
Leo the
I,
lion, another fire sign. And what kind of sign are you, Kim?
I'm Capricorn.
I knew
Capricorn.
it.
Okay. All
You
right.
knew it.
Yeah.
So the other group is all fire signs: Aries, Sag, and Leo. And so we were talking about how sometimes you need to burn the sucker down, clear the land, start from scratch. And I think in a sense, feminism is that. Just like civil rights, just like human rights. When anybody, um, seeks a greater level, a greater measure of freedom, justice, equality, um, then it does represent a threat and a challenge to those who have been benefiting from from their capacity to oppress you. And so, in a sense, it is a force of destruction, but it's a destruction in the sense of okay, we need to, start this over. We need to go back to home base. We need to throw out the batter, and get some fresh ingredients. It's a force of destruction leading to a healthier way of being. That's the idea. Um, so that's my feeling on that. Venita, anything?
I agree. I was actually going to say something very similar. whenever you try to exercise your rights, not just to be a woman, but to be a human being, the oppressors, it's always destructive to them. It changes everything they know, every way that they want things to be, which doesn't benefit us, obviously. So, yeah, I do think a lot of times we say feminism. I've seen people and talk to people just go, "Oh my God," like it's a bad word. Like, like they have to give them defense. Like,
Right.
We're going to take over the world. And what are we going to do? And you don't want to fry the bacon in the pan. Well, yeah, I understand I want to fry the bacon because everybody likes bacon. I'm just saying once I finish frying the bacon, then it's time for me to go over here and do this. But they want you to stay there and just fry the bacon so they can make some bacon off of you while you do nothing but fry the bacon. Folks that's having a field day. So yes, I do. I've even talked to people. They right away. It's the bad word. You just gotta. You almost have to whisper it. You have to whisper.
Yeah.
Yes. I've talked to a few people about our circle, and a couple of responses when you say not black but they're like, oh, we can deal with the black part, but did you say? And I say yes. You ever got that? You get the response. I really have gotten that. It's like the black part or the woman part. When I said feminine, they start clearing. Calm down. I'm not as dangerous as I look. But yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, it has definitely become a dirty word, and that actually is why I wanted to have that word in the title of our group, um, because I do think that there's a continuing conversation that needs to be had, especially. I don't know if it's important for our generation. Kim and Venita and me are all the exact same age. And I don't know if it's an important conversation for our generation to have because maybe that boat has sailed already, or for younger women to have. But I do see us as the generation of women who really started to put feminist practices into our lives. And so women, and I'm 56. So women that are, I didn't mean to tell you all.
I asked you to tell everybody else.
Sorry. But women that are, 10 years older than us, they're the ones that were really burning their bras and marching about it and really raising a lot of ruckus. But as I looked at a lot of them, eventually they settle. A lot of them that I know eventually settled down into what looked to me like very traditional arrangements, family arrangements. But I think it's our generation where um, we were the ones that were much more trying to figure out, okay, so what exactly does this mean in terms of relationship? And so, I have three brothers, no sisters. And so I was also seeing what they were going through in their relationships. And to me, from their perspective, um, they were really the first generation of men that could not count on, having a woman that was going to wait on them hand and foot, be at their beck and call, take whatever crap it was they had to deal and do it with a smile. And so they were extremely resentful about that because they had seen the benefits that their fathers received, in just a prior generation. And so for them, it did represent a real change, and a change that they were not happy about. And so anyway, that I think led to a lot of hostility and backlash, and women that are younger than us and Randie's generation, what they were receiving was the fallout from a lot of the clash that went on in when we were Randie's age. So I've seen some progress, I think, but I still think there's a conversation to be had. So okay, let's move on. Venita, would you read point B, please?
I don't have my glasses. I'll do the best I can. The inspiration for the title of our current reading selection is found in the statement, "Only the black women can say when and where I enter, in the quiet, undisputed dignity of my womanhood, without violence, without suing, or special patronage. Then and there the whole race enters with me." Anna Julia Cooper, 1892. What do you think Anna Julia Cooper meant by this statement? And do you agree with her? Why or why not?
I have no clue.
You said you have no clue, Randie?
I have no clue. I read it 3 times, and usually I can ride with Anna. Usually I can roll with her. I did not know what she meant by that quote. I did not understand.
Okay.
I felt so bad because I really feel like I should because I'm black and I'm a woman, but I didn't get it. So if
Okay.
somebody said it to me.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I don't think I don't think it's immediately apparent. It's a famous quote, but I think if you don't think about it a little bit, it can go past you. So anybody else?
It just reminds me of the phrase, "This bridge called my back," that so many people have climbed across on this bridge that they made out of my body. And there's a quiet dignity of being the bridge. And I think that that's what comes to me. And then everybody comes through us and gets some gain from us. And hopefully sometimes it's our families too.
Okay. Venita? Are you there, Venita?
Yeah, I'm just really thinking about the question. It really needs more thought than this 30 seconds I have here. I'm going to come back to that one.
Okay. Okay. Well, to me, especially the piece about when and where I enter, then and there, the whole race enters with me. Um, Meaning, black women very often describe themselves as the most oppressed group in American society. And so the expression means to me that when we figure out when we figure out how to satisfy the black woman's concerns, we will have figured out how to satisfy um, all other concerns, um, concerns of the black race. And so, let's if we put it into practical terms, for example, if we think about equal pay for equal work. So I don't know, I never know what numbers are for anything. But let's say the black woman makes 80 cents on the dollar compared to there is a hierarchy, in terms of average pay. White men, well, I think it's white men, white women, black men, black women, like that. That may not be exactly right, but something like that. So, all right, so that puts black women at the bottom. So let's say we figured out how to make sure that black women got paid as much as white men for equal work. Then whatever policies, whatever practices, whatever changes were needed to make that happen would affect everybody else up the scale. So that's what I think that means. When and where I enter. When you solve the problem for me, you solve the problem for everybody. So okay, Randie, let's see if we can hear you read again. Would you try point C?
Yes. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, Ida B. Wells, Reconstruction and Destruction. Tell my people to go west. There is no justice for them here. Thomas Moss told the men about to lynch him. Moss was a friend to Ida B. Wells and Mary Church Terrell. He had been Terrell's friend since childhood and had attended her wedding just 1 year before his death. Wells counted Thomas and Betty among her closest friends and was godmother to their daughter, Maureen. She knew Moss to be a good man, a loving husband and father, and a sterling citizen, and realized the increasing violence towards blacks had little to do with their alleged criminal behavior. Rather, lynching was a tool of the new caste system being imposed by the South. Did y'all get that?
Yes.
Okay. Question 5. When Thomas Moss urged blacks to go west, Ida B. Wells spread the word and many heeded this call. Today, some say, perhaps jokingly, if Donald Trump is elected POTUS, we're leaving the country. Where can we go? Are freedom, justice, and equality connected to place? Do you believe there is a place where the black man and woman are living or can live in peace and harmony today? If so, where is it? If place is not the critical factor in securing our freedom, what is?
Anybody?
That was a good question.
I thank you.
Octavia?
I'm going to Mars. To the moon.
You heard what I said? Well, Octavia, that's about the size of it.
What does that mean?
That means that I don't know if there is a place. I haven't been to all places to know if we would be treated equally if we were in another place. And And then again, if Donald Trump is elected, he's going to affect the entire world. So there might not be any place for us to go. I don't know.
I don't think. I'm sorry, Venita, were you done?
I
I'm
am
sorry.
now. Bad.
I don't think. I don't think there is a place. Like I was just talking to a friend, because the Coldplay music video came out, and Michelle, I saw you post an article about it, then I couldn't find it anymore. Did you delete it? About the Beyonce appropriation, and why it was an
Too
article saying
frozen.
why I won't criticize.
Beyonce?
Yeah, didn't you post a pop article? Didn't you post that article? Like I don't. You said like I don't usually post pop articles, but was that not you?
I don't think so.
It must have been right
Not
under your name, but
you talking about within the last what 6 weeks?
yeah.
No.
Crazy, I could have sworn that was you. Maybe I gotta go back and look at them. But anyway, so Coldplay which is a white group, came out with the song. They shot it in India. Um, and Beyonce was in Indian dress, like the the stereotypical mainstream India dress with the bindis and the henna and all of it. And it was a really big blowout about it, like how she was appropriating Indian culture because she was, but but like she's wearing these clothes, but why? Do you know why? People wear this in India. So anyway, it was this big whole thing about it, and one of the girls who was a mutual friend who I went to high school with posted a status talking about how upset she was because as she's Guyanese, so she was saying how like black people are always appropriating people's cultures, and it's not just a white person thing, and how like black people have to be held accountable for what they do because she's West Indian and you have like black people who are African American try to be Caribbean or like try to play like the Caribbean and they'll wear like Jamaican colors and stuff and they really aren't, or Guyanese flags in their pocket or whatever. So she was making status about that and how she was saying, I'm a really big fan of Beyonce, but she's not Indian, basically. So I'm saying that to say that my friend who saw the status and who also got in an argument with the girl texts me and she's saying, I felt like I had to defend myself because I'm African American. He has all these tattoos of like she has like a pharaoh tattoo and a Eye of Horus tattoo. And she was saying, I felt like I had to defend myself because as black people, we're so displaced. As African Americans, we're displaced. We don't really know where we come from. And so she felt like we should have more leniency in what we, I guess, dabbled into. I'm not really doing her justice, but she just felt very defensive. She was like, well, if we don't know where we're from. She's like, I was really envious of this girl because she's Guyanese and she knows her whole mother's family tree, and I have no idea. I can't trace my roots back to a country. And so I say that I don't think there's a place because when I was talking to her, I let her know that even when I went to Ghana and I passed and I was able to blend in for the first time ever in my life, that I still knew I wasn't Ghanaian. People said I looked Ghanaian or I looked West African, but there were very clear cultural differences, me as African American and them as Ghanaians. I didn't understand the language, obviously. I didn't know my way around. I didn't understand any like I didn't understand libation or when and where they poured it or why all the time. Or like the constant like I don't know singing or the way they prepared their food. So I still didn't feel like I belonged, even though technically I was back home. Like that mythical go back home to the motherland. I was there, but I still felt just as isolated as I felt being on campus in Worcester. So that's why I say I don't think that there's a place, and it really sucks because I always say, we're gonna have to die to like get some type of reparation. Like we're gonna have to go to heaven. Hopefully we all make it, and maybe then we'll get to meet our ancestors and stuff and find out. Because I think that as earthly beings, I don't think there will ever be a place for African American blacks to go to get some type of peace, not full peace, like white people who have a country or home country that they can go to, because of how history is. So yeah.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you. Anybody else?
I like how Ida B. Wells says what she would sell her life for, and I think at some point it has to cost something to take a black life. You just can't keep pushing us around and pushing us around and pushing us around. I think at some point it has to be a consequence. So I ain't going nowhere.
That be that Capricorn. They are so deliberate. That big Capricorn, that's right. I'm not going nowhere. Somebody gonna pay up. I'm tired. That's the Capricorn.
I just think that when we start having legal weapons,
Okay,
all I'm saying is I just think that, and I think this was something that Joel said, that down south, they're armed and they're more weapons. So I don't think that's the answer. More gun violence, but at the same time, I just think there's this way that I don't know. I just think that at some point there's got to be a consequence to taking a black life, and I'm not saying it always has to be violent. I just think at some point we should not be moved all of the time. And we have been. I mean, when you look at New York, we've been moved so many times. It's like every stop on the express train was a black village. So at first, blacks lived on Wall Street. And then all of a sudden we got moved to 14th Street. And then we got moved to 34th Street. Then we got moved to 42nd Street. And then we got moved up to Harlem. And now we're being moved out of Harlem. So at some point, it's just like moving's not the answer.
I remember in our reading, I think Ida felt this felt the same way. I can't remember exactly where it was in the chapter, but she was attending something, and of course Mary came because Mary comes from a wealthy family. Her father was the first millionaire in the South, and she had little pearls on, and she had a place, but I didn't have her pearls on. I came with a gun in case she needed one. And I just remember that when she mentioned the fact that it's, we were not advertising violence, but even then, Ida was like, if all else fails, I may have to either shoot my way out of here because somebody's trying to do something to me, or I may have to settle some things myself. I don't know exactly what was on her mind, but I do remember Ida, not going empty-handed. So just to say, the point is that even then, folks was feeling the same way. Then how much can they run? Somebody's got to pay for something. They're not here and people talk, or they're not listening. They don't want to hear you. I don't know.
I hear and I understand, because we probably, if Donald Trump was elected, would be here too. Because we ain't got no more money after this wedding. But we'd probably be right here. But in the book, when Ida starts writing about the lynchings and convincing everybody to leave, when they leave, white people panic because they're not making no money. And then she mentions, and then Paula mentions, because black people were known for buying furniture they couldn't afford and clothes they couldn't afford, and making payments on stuff. And because white people don't do that, black people do. So when they leave and there's no more money being spent, then they panic. So leaving could also result in an economic revelation that the U.S. needs to have about how the black people contribute to this country, which we all know to be true. which is why when it comes around the time, people always are saying, boycott Black Friday because we are the ones who spend the most money. And so I thought that that was powerful because this was in the 1800s and this was still happening. Like that was still a fact. So we've been carrying this country for centuries. So at least financially.
For some products, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I I think for me, um, I'm thinking about what Randie was saying about Beyonce wearing Indian clothes and um, all the controversy around that. And it makes me want to say, well, I'm going to probably get myself in trouble as usual. But well, you all know how I feel about this thing about ownership of people. Like, I don't like it. I don't like slavery, and I don't like slavery's derivatives. I don't like the idea um, that 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 we're so territorial with each other, um, and it makes me feel very much like like that is the capitalist paradigm, and there's the Western paradigm, and there's something fundamentally sick about it. And I've lived all over the country. I'm a AME preacher's daughter, so by the time my dad had passed when I was 19 years old, we had lived 13 different places, and I've moved an equal number of times or more as an adult. So I've lived all over the country, and I've never um, really felt connected to a particular place. Um, Probably New York is probably the best place for me because it's got so much diversity. But when you're in these little towns in America, there's very much um, a culture. Each region of the country has its own culture, and the people can be very protective of that. And you're an outsider, and they make you feel like an outsider, and they make you feel like you can never um, know what they know, and they make you feel like there's something wrong with you because you don't have this special knowledge about this place. You didn't go to these schools and know these people and know the roads and all of that. And so that just has always been striking to me, that people take a certain pride, even New Yorkers. I spent a lot of years in New Jersey, and New Yorkers, think it's a fun thing to make fun of New Jersey, and and so even New Yorkers, with all of their diversity, all of their cosmopolitan, all of that, you know, still have this kind of protectiveness where I feel special because I am a New Yorker and you're not. you know? And so I often wonder what it is that's going on with people. It's like, to me, like the gang mentality or the Greek organization mentality. Well, my gang wears blue and white. I'm a Zeta Phi Beta, so we blue and white. But oh, you wear pink and green. So we're better than you. What? I've never been able to grasp this need that people seem to have to feel special. And so that specialness comes from where you're from, or who you're connected to, and all of these kinds of things. Um, in order to The way that you feel special is by making other people feel less than. That's what seems to be going on to me. So I've never understood this thing. Well, and I'm not a Beyonce fan, but to me, if Beyonce wants to wear Indian clothes, so what? I mean, what are we saying, that because Indian people designed a certain style, that they own that style and only they should be allowed to wear it? Or, the West Indian thing, the red, yellow, green, because you have a preference for a certain color, you now own those colors and nobody else should be allowed to appreciate or enjoy or utilize those colors. I just don't get it.
And you won't. Ever. I don't know why either. I don't know if it's, it goes beyond making themselves feel good by diminishing others. I don't know if it's boredom. Who take everything is so, everyone's so touchy about everything. Who cares what Beyonce wears? Obviously somebody does. But if that's what she wants to do, I mean, I'm not Japanese, but I love sushi. So what's next? I shouldn't eat sushi because I'm not Japanese. But
Right.
I don't see when I go to my favorite restaurant, the Japanese wait staff complaining and coming up saying, "You're black."
Right. Like, I love Italian food and Spanish food.
And everything. So it just gets to the point where black folks need to spend their time. It would be better spent somewhere else. That's the kind of stuff that this is time wasting. That's why where we are today.
I think,
I mean.
Yeah.
I do think that there are better ways to spend our time. But however, I feel like there is a reverence to tradition that people take offense to. Because I remember Nicki Minaj had on this beautiful African outfit at one of the award shows, and she and this group of dancers opened up. It was almost like a welcome dance, an African welcome dance, and she was stunning with the big red feathers and everything. And before the dance was over, a girlfriend was grabbing her crotch, and I just felt like if I was in that place, I would punch you in your head. And so I just felt like there are certain parts of us that belong to us, and that's that quiet dignity of when and where I enter. And that's one of the things that I feel like we can twist our culture, but sometimes we take it too far. And that I don't know, I didn't see the Beyonce video, but I think sometimes when you respect yourself and your culture and your image, it takes you further along in terms of getting somebody else to respect it. That's just my speech.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, Kim, I agree. There you go. There you go. That's Kim.
Look, I'm sounding a little too violent tonight. I'm really not.
Okay, be who you are. Because you want to, carry a few weapons, and where's Georgetta? She would have been here with you with the same thing.
So I did want to say on the question of if place is not the critical factor in securing our freedom, what is? And so to me, and this is coming from the perspective of a person that has never belonged anywhere or fit in anywhere, that there is something about finding comfort and security internally. And if to me the greatest example of that is Nelson Mandela. That if you can face the kind of conditions that he faced, and still come out of there relatively whole. He had to go into a place, he had to go inward to allow his spirit to survive what was happening to him physically. So but let's move on, because we are getting a little behind. I'm going to jump down to point F and question 8, and I'll go ahead and read that. Wells's 7-column article on lynching was published in the New York Age on June 5, 1892, including names, dates, places, and circumstances of hundreds of lynchings for alleged rape. Later that year, Black women came to her aid and planned a testimonial, both in honor of her courageous stand and to raise funds for her booklet, which would be called Southern Horror: Lynch Law in All Its Phases. 250 race women attended the event held in New York City's Lyric Hall in support of Iola. What did you think about the way Ida B. Wells and Mary Church Terrell responded to the death of Thomas Moss, and how 250 Black women stood to support Iola?
I thought that this world is so small when I read about that, because like Ida B. Wells had like crossed paths before, and Ida had written her father to get some money for this loan she needed, and like they were already almost touching each other's lives anyway, and the fact that they both knew this man, or had some connection with him, I thought was very powerful and on purpose. And so I think that Ida, they said that Ida's her impact was more immediate, while Mary's took a minute. But I thought in between that time how interesting it was, and then I swear I answered the question, that Paula mentions that like Black people had almost started to believe that the Black men deserved to be lynched, because they were like, oh well, the way that whiteness had like advertised these deaths and justified these deaths, that even Frederick Douglass, had something to say about it. Like he thought, well, maybe, and then it wasn't until Ida started like interviewing and realizing it just didn't add up, and investigating witnesses, how that actually changed. So I thought that was so interesting.
Well,
Which
it's like now the power of the media, except they didn't have the media back then like we do now, but it's that messaging over and over and over again. You keep hearing the same thing. You don't know what to believe.
Exactly, but I just thought that was so. Cause I've read a lot of Ida B. Wells. I use her for my IS because I wrote it on lynchings. And everybody's read Frederick Douglass's, autobiography, and it's just amazing that that's never come up in anybody's book. That belief, even if it was just for a moment, ever, unless somebody did some research. So I thought that was powerful, but I also think that it made their responses to his death also very powerful, because they took very, like, Mary had the money and Ida had the words, and she was fearless. She did not care about who she investigated or what she wrote about. And so I think that their responses to his death was very empowering, even though it was sad that he had to die for something like that to happen, for Ida's words to be read and everything. And I feel also that it was really great that 250 Black women supported her and raised all that money, and she was even surprised. Like, she was surprised as well, because that's a big deal. It's so, again, media makes it so difficult to believe that Black women can uplift each other and believe in each other and still be just as powerful while up somebody else. So I thought that was really nice for the late 1800s for a woman to be to have her book be able to be published because other Black women thought it should be. So.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I found it interesting too, Randie. Yeah, I think, and I'm not sure because I just can't analyze or thinking in their head. At some point, blacks weren't convinced that everything was okay. You know, that we were all right, that we didn't have to stand up or behind or next to each other at all, much less no matter what. We allowed ourselves to be convinced that we had made it. It was all good. And once you start to dilute a person's mind, which is very powerful, it takes a whole lot of work to get it back again. You know, to bring them back to, no matter what goes on, you know, it still takes a lot of work to bring them back to, no, we didn't make it. No, it's not over. You know. And it's just funny hearing from you, being such a young woman, how you're so amazed by that. And being in a different generation, I'm so amazed that why isn't, you know, isn't that the norm? You know what I'm saying? We have two different ideas of, or two different types of amazement. You know, you feel good seeing that and hearing that and knowing that. It's like, wow, and I'm feeling good hearing it and seeing it. No, but I'm also wondering, like, isn't that where it's supposed to be?
Right.
I don't know if I explained that, if I gave that question any justice. It's difficult to give an analogy so quickly on how I feel about that, but it was like that for a very long time, Randie. For a very long time. We would stick by each other through thick and thin, bringing it back to a thing called courage. As you saw, as you was reading that chapter, they didn't care what went down.
Right. But we've lost so much of that.
Yes.
And, you know, and that's why it is surprising to Randie. And that's what I meant in the beginning by Randie's generation has received the fallout from the friction that occurred in our generation.
Yes.
So, you know, they're getting something totally different. Yeah. Wow.
I guess just for me, when Philip Bruce, when he wrote the Black Peril, and he was saying that the main problem, the root of all the lynching, is the black women. That if they weren't so loose and training their men to be so sexualized, white women would be safer. And because white women are not safe, then we need to lynch black men. And
yeah,
so,
I read that. I tried not to bring that up. You know, because it just goes so beyond me when I read, you know, I just can't hear any more foolishness.
Well, there's you know there's unceasing foolishness.
I think we have been, the goal has been to bamboozle us into thinking that it is okay for me to rape black girls because you are born so sexualized.
Right.
And your women are held in one place, but our women can't walk down the street safe. So when those 250 women came together to publish this almost like an anti Philip Bruce publication, it just made me feel proud knowing that they sponsored it, they paid for it, and that's the place for me where I want to go. I want to go to a place where African Americans pay their own way, and that we start to live in a world within this world. And I think that when you look at the people's grocery store, when they started to see that Moss was taking money from them, that's when it had to be closed. So it's just like, it's like so many different ways to undermine us being taking our money and spending it 7 times in our own neighborhoods to and so when you look at where we are today from where we had been, it's amazing to me how hard it is for us to get back to our own communities and say, I'm going to partner with you so that we have a place here and that we're not as dependent on everything.
Right.
We don't even grow a tomato. So I was very proud to hear that they had this relationship with Thomas Moss, and I was also very proud that those 250 women came and stood up. It was just wonderful. I didn't even know this history. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And I do think some of the division is related to feminism. You know, why you don't see us, or you haven't for much of the last 2 decades at least, seen us like that. But you know, some of what we're seeing in the Black Lives Matter, you know, and modern day activism does harken back to the way things used to be. And so, for example, the way that Ida B. Wells and Mary Church Terrell responded to the death of Thomas Moss, you know, is much like, you know, how modern activists have responded to, you know, ever since Trayvon, have been responding to the kinds of modern day lynchings that are going on. So yeah, interesting. Well, it's getting late, and I really want us to look at this question called "Find the Black Feminism." What Black feminist concerns were raised in this week's reading, and that's something that, you know, I'm going to try to stick with every week and every session, to try to keep us focused on the mission of this reading circle, because, you know, I think unless you focus in specifically, you can lose it. And I'm doing the same thing in the Revolutionary Love Leadership series, asking, you know, where is the love? You know, what love did you see in the readings? So in terms of, for us, what Black feminist concerns did you see raised in this week's readings? One thing for me, for example, um, was the dynamic between Mary Church Terrell and her father. You know, he wanted her to be a lady, you know, and stay at home and do whatever it is ladies do, which I have no idea what that may be. But she was not trying to hear it. And she went on and got her education and got a job, you know, even though her father was a millionaire and she didn't have to work, and even though she married, you know, a prominent, well-to-do man and didn't have to work, she wanted to work. And, you know, and so she did. And so to me, the feminism in that, is that is you know, is not allowing someone else, your father, your husband, your son, your whoever, not allowing someone else to set your limits for you, to define who you are. You know, she took the bull by the horns in terms of um, directing her own life, and so to me, that's feminist behavior.
I think for me, there was an event where she was being introduced, and the gentleman who was a friend of hers, he was so impressed with her that she was a woman. And then the whole paragraph of him describing her, I wanted to edit that so badly. It just felt so offensive to me that he's talking about her appearance and her looks, and I don't know if he said she had thin lips. So I don't remember what
Mhm.
all he said, but it was just like,
You're talking about the description of Ida B. Wells when she was at one of the newspaper association meetings.
right,
I
and he
remember
and he
that.
was he
Yeah.
was he was going on and on saying that, and she's a woman, and you know, I just felt that for that era, it probably was a great introduction. But now that we've gone so far, I just really wish to have something that just kind of just introduce her and go sit down.
Right.
Yeah, just go sit down somewhere, get a chair.
Right,
You know,
right.
I found it to be insulting,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I think he thought that he was helping the situation, and maybe on some level at that time he was.
Mhm.
I've always had a problem and still do with black women having to wear labels, period. Um, for example, the first black woman, too. You know, I can't stand that. You know, my name is May Smith. This is where I am. Whether I'm staying home and I want to be a homemaker, which is a noble thing and an occupation in itself, and or if I want to go out and be Ida. Just I'm Ida. I'm Mary. Why does it have to always be the first black this or the first woman, the first black woman? Am I the only person that bothers, or
I don't think so.
once again these messages, subliminal messages? You know, no, it might be the first that even then it may be the first that we're aware of because of the media, but there might have been 25 first walking right next to him. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's offensive to me. This is as bad as describing her thin lips.
Mm.
Okay. Randy, did you see any feminist issues in this chapter?
I saw a lot. Venita mentioned the one I was gonna bring up. So I won't say it again, but she had mentioned how white men justified raping black women and lynching black men, like they had to, like while they worried about white women, black women were born very promiscuous and needed to have sex and were very wanton, and so they had to, and so black men had to like must be dangerous and have rape tendencies because they have to keep up with their black woman.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that was one. But one that also stood out to me, which is still a problem now, is mortality rate of babies. The Mary, I believe, lost her baby
Mm.
um, due to some
Her,
segregation things. So she couldn't take the baby to the hospital or like to see a competent doctor because the baby was black, and that's what set her off to not listen to her daddy. And that's still a problem. You see that now with Flint. I literally just saw on Facebook that there's the virus, the Zika virus that's in South America. They
yeah.
just found their first case in Texas, affecting children. 9 times out of 10 due to access, right, and poverty, and which I believe is a especially a black feminist concern. Um, I believe was raised in a book. So
Mhm. Wow, thank you. All right, well, given that we are short 2 members, then it's probably not a good time to do the recruiting of the moderators. Wait and see if Joelle and Georgette come back next week. But we do need someone for next week, which is chapter 2. Yeah, just chapter 2.
I can't volunteer for next week. It's going to be hectic for me.
Well, remember, Venita, we did say that, and I'm going to post the video. Remember, we did say that we're going to try to do it real simple, you know. I mean, I don't want to say what simple is, but
I can definitely do the following week, but next week is a little iffy.
I'll do chapter 2.
Randie will do chapter 2.
And I could do chapter 3.
Okay. Randie, Kim, Venita, can you do 4 and 5?
I have to look at my schedule, Michelle. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Michelle, you need it by Monday, right? Is it Monday that you asked for it?
No, if you want me to post it, Monday would be good, but really, like if I had it by noon on Tuesday, that would be fine. But what we said was, if you don't want me to post it, then you can bring it at 6:30 if you want. but you'll take responsibility for posting it somewhere that everybody can find it.
Right. Got it.
Okay. Okay, so.
Georgette's okay. It's unusual.
Huh?
I told her it's okay. It's unusual for Georgette not to come and not.
Yeah. Well, once you get out of the habit of something, it takes some energy to get back in. And in my case, I haven't had a break, so I don't know what I'm gonna do when we finish this session on May 31st. I may really, really need a long break because we had our business meeting on December 15th. And then my birthday was December 17th, and my friend Bill called me to wish me happy birthday. And we started talking, we've been talking about doing, a series together. And he was like, well, come on, let's just do it. Let's start tomorrow, December 18th. So I have not had a break, so I'm not out of the habit.
Yeah, speaking of both of the books at the same time, I have to think about that too because it does take up time. Although you're doing all the writing for this one.
Well, you're not doing any writing in the other one because Bill's got me writing all of the notes, all of the agendas I'm doing in the other one.
I'm not talking about the writing.
Huh?
I'm talking about my schedule, how much time I want to do. I'm talking about my schedule, not the writing, because you're doing all of the writing.
Right.
But anyways, back at the ranch, I'm tired. I had a long day. It's been real. Kim, it's so good to see you again. I've missed you, Miss Capricorn.
I missed everybody. It's good to see everybody.
It's so nice to see her face, and she'll be Mrs. In a little while.
Yeah.
Mrs. Chapman.
Mrs. Chapman. That's coming quick.
Yeah, it is.
I can't. It's February already. I can't believe how fast that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
What book are you guys reading for your other series?
It's a book. Bill Peters, William S. Peters Sr. is he's a poet and writer and publisher, and his publishing company is called Inner Child Press, and so one of the books produced by his company is called Blackmailed. Um, Blackmailed, and so it's all about the black male experience in America, and so that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and all right, so well, it seems like there was something else I was going to say. It seems like it's connected to Randie. Let me look at Randie.
Michelle, I just want to say I love how you want to connect this question every week. I just think that's such a strong suggestion. I like that a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really kind of clear to me, after we had done 5 books, which all of which had feminist angles to them. But it was clear to me that if we didn't focus in on those angles, um, we were just, we were not going to bring them out. They were not going to just naturally come up in the conversation. And that's really the conversation that I want to have, because like I was saying in the beginning, it's our generation, Kim. This is where the shit hit the fan.
And not only our generation, but they're different groups of us. So there are extremely religious black women that some may have a whole different point of view. And then we can't forget our lesbian sisters, and they may have a different view. And so it's just to explore where people are and to come together. It just sounds wonderful to me.
Right. So, all right. Well, everybody have a good week. And I will see you next week reading our story together.
Okay, and if I can't make next week, I'll let you guys know as soon as possible, because that's my iffy thing for next week.
Okay.
Okay, Tim. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Feel better, Venita?
Thank you, hon. You have a good night. Nice seeing you.
Okay.
Randie, bye.
Bye.